Can I ask you about some of your own tweets?
Sure.
After the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump, you got quite a lot of heat for a series of tweets that you put out, which had some choice words, not just for Trump, but also for Corey Comparatore, who was the firefighter that got killed by mistake by the shooter at the Trump rally. You were on Twitter almost immediately calling him fucking retarded. That is Corey, not Donald Trump, saying that you have zero sympathy for anybody who gets caught in a crosshair like that, and seeming to have no sort of ill feeling about the fact that a former president, somebody tried to assassinate them. I must say that when I saw those tweets, I was shocked. I was surprised. And a lot of people messaged me and said, is this the guy you had on your show? Like, you might want to think again before having him back on. And I'm sure that people who haven't watched this far have already commented down below, I can't believe you had this guy back on. I understand that you are angry about the state of the right wing in America. I understand that you really don't like Trump, and that's putting it far too lightly. But when you talk about how you don't like Twitter because it sort of is poisoning our political dialogue, do you not think you're contributing to it as well with this kind of behavior?
No, I don't think the dialogue is being poisoned because people are being mean, of which conservatives have been disgusting for years, which is why I don't give a fuck about anybody that winds up at any of these rallies and gets shot or whatever the fuck, okay? Because they had no problem making fun of Paul Pelosi. They have no problem making fun of anybody else that gets killed in some horrific event. A lot of conservatives were laughing along at a lot of my tweets when I was making fun of Palestinians during my last, year and a half talking about Israel, and some of them laughed when I made fun of Israelis as well, but all of a sudden Corey is beyond reproach. Bullshit. I think that the issue that I have with X isn't people being mean, it's people that are just lying and contributing to a destruction of the discourse. I think that people can be mean. I think hate speech is fine, whatever you want to do there. But when you have people that are intentionally bad actors that are just destroying the discourse by just flooding it with incorrect stuff that they're not even trying to be correct about, the entire world would be better off if these people were permanently removed from these platforms. Like, there is no downside and only upside to see people like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Tim Pool never be allowed to publicly broadcast their opinions ever again. It's exclusively bad stuff that happens. So if somebody wants to be mean or an ass or whatever, I'm totally fine with that. But when people are supporting, the destruction of our world, like informationally, right? When we've all become epistemic nihilists and now anything can be true. I remember joking 2 or 3 years ago, or however long ago it was, with the wildfires in Hawaii. I think I said something like, nothing will ever happen again. Nothing can happen anymore. It's all a conspiracy. And it is now, right? I start a lot of my debates off with conservatives being like, do you believe in dinosaurs, by the way? A lot of them don't. They don't think dinosaurs are real. They think oil is naturally replenishing and big petroleum made dinosaurs up. The boat collision, I think in Ohio, was the Mossad that, rammed a boat in to take off the heat from Gaza. The train derailment in East Palestine was just leftists trying to poison the environment. Every single foreign affair is, Ukraine was started as a revolution by the CIA, and, there were bioweapon labs there, and COVID was a hoax, and the vaccine, like every single fucking thing. And now the hurricane is made by the government, I guess. Every single thing is not real, and it is destroying us. We have no unified front right now that we can present to the world, and we can't even do anything in our own country with ourselves.
There's so much to say in that. I mean, for a start, being mean, as you put it, which of course is different from, say, spreading disinformation or misinformation. Like, you're allowed to call someone a fucking retard if you want to. Do you think that this is constructive to the political conversation? I mean, even if you think you have a right to do it, and okay, the other side do it too, isn't the point to lead by example? I mean, if I were engaging in some of the atrocious political conduct that you observe on the right, as a left-winger, and then you called me out on it and said, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. And I said, well, hey, the right do it too. The point is that when the right do it, we say that it's a bad thing. And so to be sort of doing it in response seems, at the very least, not constructive, right?
The issue, again, and I will reiterate this, even though nobody will pay attention, not calling you out, but audience, whatever. I don't care about people being mean. People being mean is not the problem. The problem is the lying and the mis and disinformation. Sure. That's the big problem. When people want to say, like, the issue is the problem right now is that in the United States, there exists 2 different standards, and you can't live in a world where both sides have to play by different standards. It doesn't work. For everybody that wants to jerk off evolutionary biology, we call these tit for tat systems in nature. You can't have a tit where somebody tries to attack you and there's no punishment, because that type of behavior will just lead to the attacker, right, taking over, because there's no repercussions for what they're doing. There is some benefit to attacking the other side, and then it rallies your side up and it demoralizes the other side. That's why conservatives have attacked so brutally liberals for so long, and they get all of the benefit from that. They get all of the fun, all of the excitement. They get to, give the strong morale to their people. They get to have all the chance at rallies. And then as soon as it happens to them, hold on, well, this isn't fair anymore. We don't like this. This isn't okay. I don't like this anymore. The fact that after that shooting, Biden, who in a private call to donors said, like, we need to put the Trump campaign in the bullseye or whatever, that guy, that he went on, I don't remember which news station it was, but he had to apologize for those comments when conservatives are like on the regular saying some of the most deranged, unhinged shit. I wish I had examples offhand if I knew this was a topic, but Trump is like himself on every rally will just say like insane shit. No, that's bullshit. The double standards can't exist. If conservatives don't like it, they need to elevate their own behavior, because I'm getting really tired of liberals constantly having to fucking row the boat while conservatives are this anchor that are just dragging us into the Atlantic with absolutely, no responsibility or accountability for their behavior.
So you don't like the whole Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high kind of approach? Is there no...
I think Michelle got rid of that. By the way, most people on the right think she's trans. I had this conversation on periods where it's like, don't you disavow this and everything. It's like, no, fuck you. I won't do it here in front of Dave Rubin, because then when I turn around and ask Dave Rubin, do you think that J6 was bad? And he's like, well, yeah, Antifa. Like, conservatives will not take accountability for anything they've done. So why the fuck would I disavow any individual shooter? Is that like, they shouldn't do it, but like, you guys think that, look at all the weird shit you obsess over for trans people, and the trans groomer and the cutting off children's dicks and all of this and all the document and the obsession over it, or the obsession over well, I could give like a million examples, but like there's so much horrible shit that goes on over here. I'm not going to sit here and try to like crawl and beg for forgiveness from a side that has exited orbit. Although maybe you don't believe that's possible, because Candace Owens says we could not leave the planet. So, who knows? But
you said, why would I do this? Why would I spend time condemning this? And I would answer on point of political principle. I mean, the whole criticism that you might make of the right wing is that they don't have political principles. They're just sort of emotive, and they'll drop their political principles on a whim to support a deranged president who's started a cold personality. The whole point is that we're supposed to be better than that. We're supposed to have our political principles. I've heard you say, for example, like, no, I don't have any sympathy for anyone who's at a Donald Trump rally. Anyone who's at a rally supporting a man who tried to incite an insurrection, which is like a fundamental threat to democracy, that should like invalidate their ability to vote. And as well as that, I have no sympathy for them being at a rally because of their undermining of the basic principles of democracy. Well, you know what else undermines the basic principle of democracy? The assassination of political leaders and democratically elected presidents. And so, in other words, to do like a tu quoque, to say, well, you do this too, why would I spend my time condemning this? It's to show political principles, say that actually I do believe in democracy. So even when, my opponent is clipped in the ear with a bullet, I'm going to come out and say, of course I think that's bad. Obviously that's bad. And of course I have sympathy for anyone who's caught up in that. And you can use that as an opportunity if you do it without actually grandstanding, because I see that a lot. I must say, I do see a lot of people on the right condemning political violence against left-wingers.
Bullshit.
There's going to be people on Twitter saying crap all the time, right?
No, but I couldn't find anybody. I went back after my Pierce thing and I went to see what these people said about Paul Pelosi, and all of these guys, Trump Jr. did it, Dave Rubin did it, all these guys made disgusting comments and jokes about it. The reality is there is no political virtue or principle in allowing yourself to be crushed by an opposition that's not going to play by the same set of rules. There is no value in that. There is no principled position in that. Politics is for power. The idea behind any type of political action is to gain power politically for your side. Now, in a democracy, there are ways that you're supposed to do that, ideally through liberal principles, classical liberal principles like freedom of speech and press and all of this. But when the other side's not playing by that same rule set, you existing using a different rule set is not a virtuous thing to be proud of or to be principled about. For you to go on your sinking ship that you decided not to put any cannons on because it's a violation of maritime law while you're getting sunk by another boat and going, well, at least we sailed, righteously is ridiculous.
Okay.
the idea that like the discourse is destroyed because people on the left won't feel bad about, dipshits getting shot at a fucking rally, is that we're so far beyond that being anywhere. That's not even on my top 50 list of issues that we have right now in this country. And conservatives just want to hyperfixate on it and make it number one because they don't want to take responsibility for a single fucking thing that they're doing, which is put this country on a crash course for destruction.
And just to round this off, because I don't want to sort of go in circles here, but there are two potential ways you can approach this thing about, I'm going to say mean things about Corey on Twitter right after he's killed. There's, I have the right to do this, and there's, this is an effective political tactic. Do you think one of those is true? Both of those is true? Because as far as I can see,
it's probably an effective political tactic. Nobody wants to hear it, but there's a reason why people engage in that type of rhetoric. Do you think it was an effective political tactic when people made, gay jokes about Paul Pelosi? It was, because they make memes out of it, they laugh about it, it boosts morale. There's a reason why people engage in this type of rhetoric, is because there is an advantage to it. And to pretend that it's strictly negative doesn't make any sense, because if so, where is the right suffering for it? Show me where the punishments have been on the right for all of the unhinged statements and actions that Donald Trump has made or said. Donald Trump is literally a guy who gives bad nicknames to his political opponents. Yep. Right now, we're seeing on X this massive disinformation campaign saying that FEMA is not responding in states, despite direct statements from people like Roy Cooper, from Brian Kemp, from Ron DeSantis, direct contradictory statements saying that Biden called us yesterday. We have everything the federal government can provide. They're lying and lying and lying. And I'm so sick of this, like, but don't you think it's bad when you make fun of blah, blah? Show me these conversations happening on the right ever, and I will begin to give a fuck. Because this conversation that's happening right now is never happening on Tucker Carlson, on Joe Rogan, on Tim Pool, on Candace Owens, on Ben Shapiro, on Walsh, on Knowles, on Crowder, on any of these other shows, on Megyn Kelly, none of these people are like, well, were we too mean when we did this? They're not even close to these. So for me to sit here and pretend to like entertain that conversation, I don't give a fuck. I'm so beyond giving a fuck on it.
You don't think that's just because, you're making the criticism that right-wingers don't sort of police themselves in this way. You say, like, where is this happening on the right? Does that mean that it's also not going to happen on the left? Maybe the reason why the right can get away with it again, here I'm strictly talking about whether it's an effective political tactic. If you want to say, look, I have the right to do this, they're doing this, I have the moral right to do this, fine. But as an effective political tactic, if right-wingers are more like morally deranged than left-wingers in the way that you sort of seem to observe them as being, then isn't it the case that that kind of tactic is going to work with right-wingers in a way that it might not work with left-wingers? You say it has to be an effective political tactic because look at how Trump's using it. Look at the name-calling. Look at the way that there's no self-policing on the right. Maybe that's because it's the right. Maybe left-wingers being less morally deranged, being more, having more better political principle, being the more moral side of things, are going to see someone using those tactics as you use them on Twitter.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
the right wing, so that's not going to work on me.
I don't think fundamentally we're that different between different groups of humans. I think that people like to make fun of people and make jokes and all that shit. Even dark humor, I think it happens on both sides. On every side, I think it's just like a pretty normal human thing. I don't think it's good, but again, the right has set the standard for behavior in this country, and it is in hell. So
was it humor? What you were doing on Twitter there? Was it an attempt at humor, or was it a sort of a genuine expression of rage and anger?
It's a combination of both, right? Humor, truth is always to some extent in comedy, right? The easiest way to tell if somebody is sub 65 IQ is when they say something like, it was just a joke. Like, jokes are funny for reasons. It's because there's usually some aspect of reality that they're pointing to, unless you're literally doing an anti-joke or anti-humor. So